for 11 local time. The sea is black except for the glow of tanker navigation lights moving north through a narrow shipping corridor. Inside the Combat Information Center of the destroyer, the radar scope is mostly clean for 1 second, then crowded the next. Low contacts begin to appear over the water from the southeast. At first they look like clutter. Bad returns. See skin. Then they hold shape. Then they multiply. 1 line becomes 3. 3 become 12. Then more. Small, fast, low, all coming in together. A watch officer leans toward the screen and says it under his breath. Too many targets. No one else speaks for half a second. The captain is already looking at the same picture on the large display. The bridge glass above him reflects dim red light. Outside, the tanker column keeps moving, dark hulls and white wake lines sliding north between hostile shores and open water. The closest merchant ship is less than 6 miles away. Then the captain gives the order. Hold missiles. Activate HELIOS. That matters. The order moves through the ship with almost no sound. In CIC, controllers stop looking for a fast missile shot and start building lanes. Outer picture, inner picture, drone tracks, surface tracks, threat lanes around the commercial ships. A tactical action officer shifts one hand across the display and starts assigning colors to the contacts. Unknown air, probable unmanned, possible decoys. Surface group below them, moving with the same timing. That is the first sign this is not random. On the bridge, the destroyer holds course. No sudden turn, no hard rudder. The ship keeps moving. Dark water rolls past the bow. Spray flashes white in the running lights and vanishes again. The officer of the deck repeats the convoy speed check. The answer comes back steady. The tankers are still in formation. They do not know yet how close the problem is getting. Below, in the laser control space, cooling pumps spool up. Power routing shifts across the ship. The Helios mount on the forward deck slews a few degrees, then stops, then slews again as it takes its first track from the combat system. It does not look dramatic from a distance. No smoke, no hot launch, no blast shield, just a turret moving with clean mechanical patience. In CIC Spy, 6 keeps feeding the picture. Altitude is low, too low for comfort. Some tracks are only a few dozen feet above the water. Others are slightly higher, enough to relay control or stretch the attack deeper into the screen. The group commander studies the spacing and sees a pattern at once. The air contacts are not bunched. They are layered. Some are spread wide to pull attention. Some are stacked in the center on direct lines toward the convoy. This is deliberate. Electronic warfare operators begin to hear it before anyone sees the full shape of it. Bursts, control links, small data spikes. Direction finding lines cut across the display. Some signals are from the coast. Some are from the fast surface contacts below the drones. Some are hopping. That changes everything. The swarm is not just coming in. It is being managed in real time. Bridge CIC. Multiple low air contacts now confirmed. Surface group beneath. Recommend warning sequence. Send it. The first warning goes out on guard in a calm voice that does not rise. Unidentified aircraft and surface vessels approaching coalition shipping corridor. This is United States Navy warship. You are entering a restricted safety zone. Alter course immediately, or you may be engaged. The words hang over black water and return nothing. Still no reply. The destroyer is an Arleigh Burke, long proven, all hard edges and layered systems. Tonight the old shape carries a new piece of the fight. Missile cells sit ready under steel hatches. CIWS waits aft. Guns are manned. The electronic warfare suite is awake. But the captain does not want to trade million-dollar interceptors for cheap flying bombs, unless he has to. Not yet. Not when the enemy is almost certainly counting on that. The picture sharpens. The first drone group splits. For Peel left, 6 hold center. 8 drop even lower until a radar track nearly merges with the sea. A second group rises behind them, farther back, slower, likely command drones or relay nodes. Under them, fast attack boats fan out with the same geometry. 2 moving wide, 3 stay in the center lane. one trailing just enough to stay hidden in the radar shadow of the others. They are shaping space. On the port bridge wing, a lookout watches the dark horizon through night optics. He sees nothing at first, then a faint moving speck, then another, then a line of dim shapes skipping just above the water, where the tanker lights smear across the sea. No running lights, no proper navigation pattern, just fast movement and black intent. In the Hello hangar, the MH-60 are crew straps in under red light, helmets down, checklist short in practice. The detachment officer waits for launch approval, but keeps his voice low. He knows the first minutes belong to the ship's own screen. Launch too early and the helicopter rises into a sky that has not been cleaned yet. Launch too late and the surface picture gets worse. Timing is everything. Stand by, comes a word from CIC. We may need eyes low. The laser operator calls out the first stable track. Range is inside effective window. Speed fits. Aspect is good. The combat system hands the mount a leading drone, not the nearest one, but the one anchoring the center lane. That is also deliberate. Kill the wrong target and the shape stays intact. Kill the right one and the attack starts a bend. Helios ready. Engage! Nothing flashes across the sea. No one on the tanker decks sees a beam. There is no line in the dark. But in the ship's tracking view, the drone changes in less than 2 seconds. Its nose wobbles. One wing dips. Heat blooms around its front section. Then the whole body rolls hard right and drives into the water in a brief white splash. The room stays quiet. One splash. No one celebrates. They just move to the next track. That is the answer. The second drone takes a little longer. Sea haze. Bad angle. The laser rides it anyway, holding energy on the airframe until the sensor package blacks out. The drone climbs without meaning to, stalls, then falls tail first. The third loses control faster than the second. The fourth is not a strike drone at all. It is lighter, emptier, built to soak time and attention. It burns the same. Now the enemy knows something is wrong. On one of the fast attack boats, men looking up toward the low swarm expect to see tracers or missile plumes from the destroyer. They see neither. They only see one drone break, then another, each one failing for no visible reason. A fourth swings into the water, almost intact. A fifth bursts into a dull orange flame as if the night itself touched it. Psychological shock starts there. Back in CIC, the officer tracking the surface group says what everyone is now thinking. They expected a missile count. Yes, they expected the destroyer to start throwing expensive rounds at cheap targets. They expected the screen to thin. They expected pressure to build faster than the ship could answer. But the missile cells stay closed. The laser keeps working. The geometry changes in silence. Another warning goes out. Unidentified aircraft and surface vessels. You're closing a protected convoy. Alter away now. You are being tracked. Still no reply. The drones adjust again. That matters. Instead of staying on direct lines, the next wave spreads wider and drops lower. Try to force the lasers to shift more often and hold longer through denser sea air. Some begin to weave. Others pop up just enough to hand off tracking data to the rear layer. This is not a blind rush. Someone is watching the effects and changing the attack. The tactical action officer sees it and starts building a kill ladder around it. Laser on the most dangerous drones. Electronic attack on control links. Guns for leakers inside the last ring. Missiles held for anything larger, faster, or confirmed as anti-ship. Clear lanes around the tankers. Keep the center open. Keep the destroyer between the threat and the convoy. No one panics. Outside, the sea starts to show a thin line of pre-dawn gray far to the east, but the corridor is still mostly dark. The merchant ships are heavy with cargo, slow to turn, slow to react. Their bridge crews hear the destroyer's instructions now. Stay course. Maintain spacing. No sudden maneuver unless ordered. The escorts will handle the screen. That simple message keeps the convoy from breaking itself. The first surface contacts are now close enough for electro-optical sighting. On the destroyer's display, they look like hard, fast shapes throwing white spray as they punch north. Not fishing boats. not confuse traffic. Their spacing is clean. 2 flank wide toward the outer merchant ship. 3 hold a center push. Another hangs back in line with a relay drone overhead. This is deliberate. In the laser station, heat readings begin to rise. Nothing critical. Not yet, but the crew watches it every second. Helios is powerful, but not endless. The ship can feed energy. The problem is dwell time and thermal load. Too much continuous work, and the system has to step back for cooling. If the enemy knows that, the whole swarm makes more sense. Cycle discipline, the system chief says. The operator nods and shifts targets with care. Short, clean kills where he can get them. Burn sensors when a full airframe kill would take too long. Break the eyes first, then the body. The next drone in the center lane loses its camera and begins to skate off course. Another takes beam long enough to ignite internal battery cells. A third passes behind spray and survives the first attempt. It comes on anyway, half blind, nose bobbing. The ship's electronic warfare team hits it at the same time. Its link drops. It begins a slow descending turn and hits the water alive but useless. That changes everything. The swarm is no longer a single shape. It is becoming damaged pieces. On the bridge, the captain finally speaks again. Launch the Helo. The flight deck team moves at once. Green wash lights skim wet metal. Rotor blades begin to turn. The Seahawk rises into engine sound and rotor chop, lifting out over Blackwater with the destroyer's wake rolling under it. The helicopter banks low and heads toward the threat sector, not to attack first, but to see. In fights like this, seeing is half the win. From the cockpit, the convoy looks fragile. Tanker lights, thin wakes, 1 warship standing between them, and a growing wall of tracks. The Helo crew brings sensors onto the surface group and starts sorting hull shapes. Open boats, low profile, high speed, several with unusual deck loads under tarps. One with what looks like a tube rack, another with a raised mast carrying antennas that do not belong on civilian craft. The pilot sends it back in 1 clean report. Multiple fast attack craft, at least 1 control boat, possible launcher on trailing contact. In CIC, heads turned toward the surface plot. There it is. The trailing boat is not just hanging back. It is maintaining a line of sight corridor behind the drone group. A command node, maybe more. That is when the problem gets worse. A fresh cluster of air contacts appears to the south, farther out, lower than the first. More drones. Smaller. Faster. They are not trying to be the first through. They are timing their approach for the moment the laser mount gets hottest and the ship's attention pulls toward the boats. The officer of the scope says nothing at first because the pattern is so clean it does not need words. Then he says it anyway. Second wave. The captain hears it on the bridge circuit and does not change tone. Keep missiles held. That choice feels heavy now, but it holds. The destroyer shifts posture. Not course. Posture. Radar emphasis changes. Electronic support broadens. Gun crews tighten sectors. The laser mounts slews with fast, precise movements, almost impatient now. It takes a drone from the first wave that is turning to re-attack from port. It burns through the nose and keeps moving before the wreck even falls. Another drone vanishes in its own battery smoke. Another loses a wing and tumbles. The system is not making noise, but it is changing the whole fight. The enemy boats can see it now. They still do not see the beam, but they see its work. Drones that should be masking their approach are dropping one by one, leaving black gaps in the sky. Those gaps open sight lines. Those sight lines expose hulls. The destroyer is cutting windows into the attack. Still no reply. The helicopter crew pushes lower and wider. Dawn light is beginning to show shape on the water now, just enough to pick out hard edges and spray. One of the fast boats suddenly breaks formation and angles toward the outer tanker, using glare and wake clutter. To hide its line, another moves in to replace it in the center. They are not charging for effect. They are forcing decisions. The air controller in CIC sees a move and sends a CAP update to the distant Super Hornets orbiting farther north. The fighters are still too far to matter in the next 30 seconds, but not for the next 5 minutes. They turn anyway, dropping from standby into a fast southbound run. Above them, an E-2 picture already feeding the group extends a radar line farther inland, looking for something bigger behind the swarm. That new layer sits there like a bad thought. The laser station gets a cooling caution. Not a stop, just a warning that the system is working hard. The chief calls for rhythm. 2 quick kills. Shift, short hold, reassess, use the beam where the ship gets the most from it, not where the operator wants a perfect shot. The operator understands. He is not there to chase every drone. He is there to break the attack. He takes a relay drone at medium height and cooks its sensor ball instead of the whole body. The drone stays in the air for a few seconds, then wanders offline as the swarm beneath it loses clean direction. A lower drone slips toward the convoy center lane. The beam catches it late. The airframe does not burn through, but the prop wash changes and it pitches into the sea. Good enough. Move on. The picture sharpens again. A boat in the center group lights a new emission. Brief, narrow, then gone. Electronic warfare catches it and tags the source. Fire control, guidance cue, a seeker check. No one says missile yet, but everyone feels it. The captain orders a third warning, this one harder. Surface vessels bearing 087. You are demonstrating hostile intent. Turn away now. No answer comes back, only the howl of the hello feed, the soft voices in CIC, and the steady call of range numbers. The geometry tightens. One of the outer boats now turns so sharply that its wake crosses a lane of another. It is cutting inside the tanker screen, trying to create confusion and maybe a collision threat. At the same time, the second drone wave compresses, dropping to a nearly common altitude over the water. They want too many hard choices at once. Save the tanker lane. Save cooling margin. Hold missiles. Find a launcher. Watch for the real strike. The destroyer reacts with precision. The Hello crew marks the cutting boat. A stabilized camera zooms in. Man on deck. Tubes. One man looking back over his shoulder, not at the tanker, but at the destroyer. He is waiting for a reaction. He gets one, just not the one he expects. HELIOS, surface track available. Control boat, center left. The mount shifts. Lasers are not magic. They are lines of energy affected by angle, haze, range, motion. Against a hard-moving boat in sea spray, the shot has to be chosen carefully. The operator does not go for a cinematic explosion. He goes for the eyes and the engine space. First, a forward sensor package. The beam holds. The camera view whites out. The boat's own optics fail. Then the aim point drops aft toward the exposed machinery. For a second, nothing changes. Then gray smoke begins to rise from the engine housing. The boat yaws left. Its wake breaks pattern. Men on deck crouch and turn. The hull does not explode. It simply loses purpose. In a swarm attack, that is enough. That matters. The other boats see it. One moment the lead control boat is shaping the line. The next it is slowing, smoking, and falling out of geometry. No missile plume from the destroyer. No gun burst. Just silent damage and instant loss of control. The psychological hit grows. But the attack is not over. The trailing contact that looked like a launcher now accelerates. Tarps come loose in the wind. Something rigid sits under them, angled low. The Hello crew shifts sensor zoom and catches a shape nobody likes. A compact canister rack. Maybe not full-size cruise missiles, maybe shorter anti-ship rounds or loitering munitions, but enough to change the fight if it gets a clean shot. Possible launcher confirmed. That changes everything. In CIC, the captain finally loosens a missile hold, but only partway. Reserve air defense for confirmed launch only. HELIOS continues swarm suppression. Guns stand by surface. The order is simple because it has to be. The destroyer cannot spend all its attention on one threat and let the rest through. The system that wins this fight is not one weapon. It is coordination. The second drone wave reaches the outer ring. Now the laser is working almost without pause. One drone after another takes beam. Some break fast. Some do not. One survives long enough to dive at the destroyer's starboard side. CIWS begins to turn. Not firing yet, just tracking, its own radar locking the close threat. The laser holds. The drone's body glows near the battery section. It tumbles past the bow and splashes 20 yards short. No one panics. Another drone comes even lower, using the tanker wake as cover. It is smart. It is late. The beam clips the nose. Not enough to kill. EW hits the link. The drone rises suddenly, confused, crosses the tanker's port quarter, then falls into the water behind it. White spray and steam. The tanker never changes speed. The ship keeps moving. On the flight deck, spare crews watch the sky with helmets tilted back. They can now see small fires over the water, where drone wrecks burn briefly before sinking. They hear no missile launches from their own ship. That silence is strange and heavy. In every older script for a fight like this, the air would already be full of tracers and rockets. Tonight the deck just feels the ship under its boots and watches the dark shapes disappear. Inside the fast boat formation, confusion turns to urgency. The boats were supposed to close under drone cover, maybe force a destroyer to choose between convoy escort and self-defense, maybe trigger missile launches, maybe create a window for the launcher. Instead, the sky is thinning. The center control boat is crippled. The outer cutter is exposed. The launcher boat now pushes harder because delay is death. This is when the line is crossed. A boat on the port side snaps up and fires a short ripple of rockets toward the convoy lane. The rockets are unguided, crude, and fast enough to matter at this range. Bright sparks streak low across the water. One splashes wide. Another skips and breaks apart. A third passes behind the stern of the rear tanker. Close enough that men on the merchant deck throw themselves down. Rockets away. CIC reports. The captain answers in the same tone he has used all night. Engage hostile surface contacts. Now the restraint shifts into action. The Seahawk rolls in first, not reckless, just committed. Its crew has already done the hard part by sorting the boats. A guided rocket leaves the rail and drops into the spray lane ahead of the rocket boat. The hit is not huge, but it is exact. The bow lifts. The hull slams down crooked. The boat loses speed at once. At the same time, Helios rides the launcher boat's forward optics. The sensor housing blooms white-hot and fails. The operator shifts to the canister area, not to detonate it, but to damage the launcher before it can align. Metal skins darken. One side panel blisters. Men on deck scramble away from it. The boat shears offline. This is not revenge. This is control. Then the radar team sees what everyone feared might be behind the swarm. Inland, beyond the coast, a brief track flashes on the extended picture. Fast, low, then massed, then back again. It could be a decoy. It could be a missile trying to use the coastal clutter and the sea surface to stay late on the scope. The E. 2 feed tightens a track. Spy 6 takes it. The combat system decides before a human has time to say the word. Possible anti-ship missile. Bearing 094. The captain does not hesitate now. Engage! A missile cell finally opens. The launch is violent because it has to be. Fire bursts from the deck. One interceptor kicks clear into the dim dawn. Then another follows seconds later. After so much silent killing, the sound is almost shocking. But the ship has saved this moment for the thing that truly needs it. The interceptors arc out over the sea while the laser keeps working the close drones, making sure the last line stays clean. That is how layer defense is supposed to work. On the bridge, nobody takes their eyes off the horizon. The destroyer does not turn away. The convoy holds. The missile battle happens out there, beyond visible detail, carried on voice calls and radar symbols. Tracks solid. Interceptor guiding. Separation. Then the call everyone waits for. Splash. Missile destroyed. No cheer follows. There is no time. The attack is still happening. But something important has just snapped. The enemy tried to stack cheap pressure and a higher-end strike in one window. The destroyer did not give them that window. The laser cut the swarm. The missile cells answered the real threat. The timing broke. That is when the trap breaks. The remaining drones no longer move like one body. Some keep coming because they are on final attack logic. Some hesitate. Some lose direction and drift. One relay drone tries to climb, and restore command, and Helios catches it clean. The airframe burns from the center out and falls in a slow spin. Another decoy turns away on its own. Another suddenly drops power and plows into a wave top. The picture sharpens one more time, but now in America's favor. The Helo crew calls the surface group split. 2 boats are retreating already. Not fast enough to look like a planned withdrawal. Fast enough to look like shock. Another tries to hide behind spray from the damaged rocket boat. The launcher contact is still moving, but not in a firing lane anymore. The control logic of the attack is gone. Each part is now fighting for itself. They came in hunting. Now they are falling back. The laser crew gets another thermal warning. Closer to the line this time. The chief orders a brief shift in dwell pattern. Take the closest live threats only. Let EW finish the broken ones. Let guns cover the last inner ring if needed. The operator obeys without argument. That discipline matters as much as the beam itself. A system pushed past its limits helps no one. CIWS tracks a leaker diving out of sun glare that is now starting to form over the eastern water. For 1 second, it looks like the gun will have to speak. Then, Helios catches the drone low and steady. A small flash at the wing root. The drone yaws off and slams into sea 30 yards from the starboard beam. CIWS stays silent. That silence is becoming the story. The tanker masters finally understand enough of the fight to grasp what has not happened. They have not been ordered into emergency turns. They have not watched the destroyer burn for 41 local time. They have not lost Hormuz is black. The escort group has kept the lane open while fighting eastern almost horizon. On top of the convoy. The sea is calm from their bridges. The air is heavy with
the merchant crew
even before sunrise.
Splashes
Deep inside a U.S.
wreck.
Navy destroyer.
And the destroyer
radar
still holding
station like a
green
dark
across
wall
the
ahead
combat
of them.
information
But the
center.
enemy makes one
While
more
a convoy
try.
of loaded
A
oil
final
tankers
packet of drones
pushes slowly through
maybe held
narrow
back as
shipping
insurance
lanes
at 12
comes
knots.
in from the west
Three
with the first
merchant
light is
ships.
strongest
2
and the
American
sea glare is
escorts.
worst.
One of the most
Smart
dangerous
again.
waterways
They are using
on
the
Earth.
rising
Then
dawn
the
to
surface
wash out
picture
optics
changes
and make the
A
laser
radar
work harder
operator leans
through
closer
shimmer.
to the screen.
2 stay
as a
high enough to
contact
relay.
flashes near
3
the
go
Iranian
very
coastline.
low.
Almost
Then another,
touching the chop.
then 5
One
more.
angle's not for
The symbols
destroyer,
multiply
but
fast.
for the lead tanker's
moving low
bridge.
and hard across
The
the water.
geometry tightens.
TO multiple
Shift
fast
sector
contacts.
west.
Bearing
CIC
017.
The
Range
Mount
9
Suze.
miles.
Cooling
Speed
margin
40
is thin
knots
now.
and increasing.
The operator knows
The tactical
he may
action
only get a
officer
few more clean
immediately
shots before the
stands
system
from his
needs
chair.
a longer recovery.
More radar
He
returns
picks the
appear.
lead relay drone
12.
first. 18.
Break the guidance.
26.
The beam
39.
rides through shimmer.
45.
The drone survives
the room
the
goes
first second.
quiet except for the
Then
low hum of
pitches nose
electronics,
down as its
and the
front
sound of
sensor
keyboards
dies.
firing
Good.
across the CIC.
Next.
He
takes the
contact
tanker
split
bound
into
runner.
separate
The
formations.
shot is harder.
One
Angle
group
worse.
angles toward the front
See
tanker.
glare stronger.
One group swings
holds
south,
a little longer,
trying to wrap
the
behind
drone
the
does
convoy.
not burst.
The third
It simply
comes straight
stops
up the middle
flying
at
well
full speed
and
kisses
kisses
the
not
water
random
in a long,
This is
skipping
coordinated.
crash. On
The
the last
bridge,
low pair
The
split at the
destroyer's
final
captain
second.
studies the
One
geometry
tries to
for
force
only
the
a
beam
second
left.
before speaking.
The other uses
Set
the opening
general
and
quarter.
comes center.
Alert
That
the
is
strike
good
group.
attack design.
I want
It would
aircraft
work on a
overhead
ship
immediately
that is
already
the ship
saturated.
erupts into motion.
It does not work
Alarm
here
bells
because
scream
the rest of
through
the
steel
steel
passageways.
is still alive.
Sailors
Electronic
rush to battle
attack
stations.
breaks one control
Door
link.
slams shut.
The drone
Helmets
climbs
lock into
without
place.
reason.
Weapons
Burst from a
crew
stabilized
strap
gun
and
mount
under red
cuts the
combat
other
lighting.
before it can cross
Outside,
the tanker's bow.
the dark
No
outline
one
of the destroyer
panics.
cuts through the Gulf.
They react
while
with precision.
45 Iranian
In the
fast
Seahawk,
attack boats,
the sensor
surge
operator
toward the
swings back
convoy
to
from
surface
three
picture
directions
and sees
the
retreat
captain
and
keeps his
plane
voice
form
calm.
now.
Hold
Two
course.
fast boats are
The
throwing
American
maximum
convoy
spray
does not
southbound.
turn.
One
does not
damaged
scatter.
craft.
It keeps
wallows
moving
nearly dead
on
in water.
radar.
The
The
launcher
Iranian
boat is trying
boats
to drag
begin
itself
spreading
away,
wider across the
with
water.
its deck crew
building
crouched
attack
low
rounds
range
around the merchant ships.
Scorch mount.
Some are
Another
small
boat
missile
cuts
craft.
close to it.
Others are heavy
maybe to
patrol
recover
boats
men,
loaded with
maybe
machine
to shield
guns
it.
and rocket
That alone
pods.
proved the point.
Several carry
They are no
nothing
longer
visible at
shaping
all.
space.
Those worry
They are
the
trying to
captain
survive
most.
space.
Bridge.
The
CIC.
destroyer holds fire
Center
on the
group
fleeing boats
now
beyond
7
the line.
miles.
It needs
Closing
to keep the
speed
convoy
46
safe.
knots.
That restraint
Copy.
is not weakness.
The destroyer
It is
transmits
message
its
discipline.
first warning.
The mission
Iranian
is not
naval
to chase
vessels.
a dramatic ending.
This is a United
the mission
States
is to hold
warship.
the lane.
You are
Protect
approaching
the ships
protected commercial
and
traffic
prove that the attack
in
cannot
international
succeed.
waters.
The captain
Alter
knows
course
the difference.
immediately. This is what the
No
platform
response.
was built to do.
Only static.
Above.
Then
The
electronic
Super Hornets
interference
finally
crashes
arrive on the edge of the
across
fight.
bridge-to-bridge frequencies.
Fast and clean.
Their jamming,
Afterburner
sir.
glow faint in the bright
The captain
sky.
nods once.
They do not need to shoot.
Switch backup
Their
channels.
presence seals the
Continue
roof.
warnings.
The last chance
The
for
Iranian
a follow-on
boats
strike
keep coming.
dies the moment
Inside
they
the
check in.
CIC.
Any hostile
Sailors
aircraft
manually
farther
track
inland now
every
has to think
contact
about
by
them
hand
Not about the convoy. Pushes deeper into the strait. Closes like the northern group forms into a high-speed attack feeding the outer scan. The southern group no second wider, missile track, attempting position no large array building behind the first. The center group, the enemy's window directly toward the destroyer. In CIC 45, the stress does not vanish. 3 attack sectors. It narrows. 1 convoy. Operators who spent the last minutes triaging dozens of moving threats now start downgrading wrecks, operating farther south in deeper water. Retreating hulls. We need steady air now. The large display that looks crowded and dangerous already launching now as space nearly again. 110 not miles empty away. Space. The flight deck of an American aircraft that changes explodes into the laser mount finally takes its first 2 real Boeing have divided by a minus 18 divided by the turret holds a ready angle over the bow, sit armed and fueled still alive, on the catapult, still able. Pilots just stepping back after doing more than a few minutes already many thought a shipboard laser 5 status would do in its first 5 minutes from launch. No smoke comes off. They launch no visible mark. Yellow shirt drama is all out on the water where silent steam rises from the catapult track. Before the lead pilot checks even knew what was one final time on the damaged rocket sign. Survivors wave cloth over their head. Reach the convoy. The Seahawk watches but established dominance. Another hostile boat turns toward them. The shooter then turns away again when it sees the first Super Hornet slams forward in the dark posture. Even now, the Americans control the choices being made around the burner flame. That is the seconds later weapon. The second jet follows. Destroy drones. Both aircraft not just a burn control boat. An accelerate broken confidence. Back in the merchant convoy, the sunrise begins to wash the sea. The center Iranian formation splits. Tanker hulls become real shapes instead of moving shooter boats behind. Their wakes lead contacts now 5 miles. The convoy has not stopped. Weapons crews on the destroyer prepare for engagement. Drifted out 50 caliber machine. The destroyer remains forward and slightly offset. The exactly 5-inch gun rotates escort lines in center formation. A second U.S. escort fighter aft reports the captain wants the aircraft overhead first. No major damage. He wants the Iranians to see what is coming before no mission kills any vessel. Then the radio attack has failed. But on this ship, Bandit 2 proof matters more 2 than minutes out. So the captain asks for full review while the wrecks are still warm. Then suddenly the horizon tears open. The answer comes back after screams across the water at low altitude. Against confirmed splashes, afterburners glowing bright against mission kills. The jet multiple confirmed drone lead Iranian boats, additional at nearly the speed of sound. Surface control boat mission seconds later. Launch your spray explodes across the Gulf. Exact count. The Iranian formation. That answer is almost 30 seconds later. Almost small. The second Super Hornet everyone in the room understands what it means. Even lower, the ship flares dropping behind it until a real missile appears. The message is the laser cut apart the cheap mask that was supposed to force waste above delay, and the backup systems never lost pace. Inside the convoy stayed moving. The enemy never got the collapse they came for. The Super Hornet's ASA radar begins sorting every surface target. Any gaps in the screen, every boat receives a track. That is the line. Receives no gaps in the screen. Every movement is no break in the escort. The captain finally exhales once. The entire attack plan rested on Bandit 2-1 keys, a cooling pause, international frequency, a missile panic, Iranian fast attack watch team operating near the convoy turned gone wrong. You're within range of United States naval aircraft and boat push. Cease aggressive Instead, they found a destroyer whose systems talked no response, and only a crew that did not chase the wrong almost problem. A full minute. This is why nobody's change was so important. Then when the contact formation breaks first, the easiest 3 boats peel away. The launch missiles, then 5 biggest cluster, then the entire line turns hard back. The harder move toward the Iranian coast. Track, CIC, sort, sailors mark each retreating the right weapon with red arrows across the save the loud answer for the target. North group that disengaging. That choice, the center formation hesitates longer. By now the sun is a miles horizon. Inside that range, lighting white spray around the retreating boats. The destroyer's 5-inch gun Black 411 is now open and exposed. No firing. That helps the Americans no warning shots. Even more. Just a deliberate visible aim directly down the center of the swarm. They lose the visual cover that made the first run dangerous. For 100 their last surviving drones either lie broken on the water or drift uselessly out directly over the Iranian helicopter does one final pass along the surface debris field. See missiles mounted beneath the wings. Fuel that breaks them. One burning center group scatters violently across the water. The throwing white positions from every direction as throttles keeps eyes on anything that still moves with purpose. The southern group remains at distance. That silence shattering the convoy is different now. Refusing to close before Silence men unknown intent. The convoy continues
Now it means
moving.
the attack.
The shipping lane stays open. Still no reply.
Above the Gulf.
The destroyer's
The
bridge
Super
team
Hornets
finally allows
maintain
themselves
layers
to
of
launch
watch
while
breath.
additional
Though
aircraft
nobody
launch
says
the
it
carrier
aloud.
behind them. Through the glass, they can now see the convoy
2D Hawkeye
clearly. Expands
one
a radar
tanker
picture
with a
across
scorched
the region.
patch from rocket
An
fragments
MH
near the stern
60
rail.
are Seahawks,
Another
from the
untouched,
destroyer, moving
patrol
clean.
the waterline
Sailors
below.
on the forecastle
Surface
still at their stations.
Air.
Lookout
Electronic
still on the
warfare.
horizon.
The
Every
officer
layer
of the deck
feeding the
confirms
next.
course.
This is
and
how
speed
modern
again.
naval power
Same
works.
answer as before.
Not chaos.
The ship
Not panic.
keeps moving.
Control.
In the laser space.
For the next 40 minutes,
The chief runs a
the
quick
Super
health check.
Hornets circle above
Thermal
the convoy
load
while the
falling.
Iranian boats
Optics stable.
slowly retreat
Tracking
toward the
looks good.
coastline. The
No
system
missiles
did not
launched.
break.
It
No
did not
guns
need a
fired.
miracle shot.
No ships
It
damaged.
simply performed
by
inside a
sunrise.
larger combat
The
rhythm.
water around the convoy
Exactly
is
where
clear
it
again,
belongs,
except for the
against
gray
drones
shapes
and
and
exposed
destroyer
surface sensors.
cutting through the Gulf
It
beside
turned
the
time into
tankers.
defense.
On the bridge,
It denied the
the
enemy
captain
the map
finally
they
picks up
counted
his
on.
untouched
That is
coffee.
why
Cold.
directed energy
He
matters
drinks it
at sea.
anyway.
The
Not because
executive
it replaces
officer steps
every other
beside
weapon.
him
Because it
quietly.
changes what the enemy
45
can afford to
contacts.
try.
Zero
The
shots
tactical
fired.
action officer
Convoy
begins
on
the
schedule.
contact summary.
The captain
for higher
nods
command.
once.
Coordinated
Log
swarm
everything.
attack
Behind
against
them,
protected commercial
the
shipping.
destroyer leaves a
Multiple
long white
explosive
wake across the
drones.
Strait of Hormuz.
Fast attack
while
boats.
high overhead
Probable
the Super
command
Hornets
and control nodes.
continue circling
Rocket
in the morning
fire.
haze.
Possible
The IRGC
anti-ship
will call it a
missile
routine
coordinated
patrol.
with the swarm.
The United States Navy
destroyer
will call
used
it a
layered
routine
defense
response.
with HELIOS.
Both sides
As
know
primary
the truth.
counterswarm
45
system.
Iranian
Convoy
speedboats
preserved.
attempted to pressure
Hostile attack
on the
broken.
world's most
The
critical
words are
sea
dry
lanes.
because they have to
Two
be.
Super Hornets
But
answered
every
in
dry
8
word
minutes
hides
and
a
change the
violent
entire
manner.
equation.
Far to the south,
Without firing
the
a single
retreating
round,
boats shrink into
and that
heat
raises
shimmer.
the real question.
One turns
Was
once more
restraint
as
the
looking
strongest
back,
possible
maybe
show of
checking
force?
damage,
Or should the
maybe
Navy
trying to
have fired
understand
warning
what
shots
hit the
before the
swarm?
boats got that
Men
close?
trained to count launches.
Drop your
and
thoughts in
tracers
the comments.
saw drones fall with no warning and no time to adjust. They saw a control boat lose its eyes and its engine space without hearing the weapon that did it.
They saw a launcher fail
before
before
it could make the destroyer
The
pay
first heat
for
signatures
holding fire.
appear on
The
overhead
lesson will
screens
spread faster
before
than
dawn.
wreckage.
Long
Psychological
lines of track
shock
vehicles move
was
through a
part
training
of the fight
corridor in the
too.
dark.
For the U.S.
Engines
sailors
low,
aboard the destroyer,
lights blacked out.
the lesson is simpler
Space
and
and harder
clean
earned.
and exact.
New systems
Satellite
do not
feeds
win
catch the shape
because
first.
they are new.
Ground
They
sensors
win when
confirm
they
the
fit
fit
next.
discipline,
Then
secure
secure
traffic
place.
moves across
Radar
command
had to
networks.
hold the picture.
The Pentagon
EW
has
had
approved
to
an
sort
emergency
mission.
combat
The
readiness
helicopter
drill.
had confirmed
And
hull.
new battle tanks,
Missile
are rolling
crews
right
had
now.
to wait.
Cold
until the
air
real
hangs
missile
over the
force
range.
issue.
Dust
Gun
explosive
teams
ground.
had to be ready without
Steel
rushing.
tracks bite into
The
wet
laser
soil
had to
and
work
shake
inside
the earth and
all
short
that,
hard pulses,
not above it.
Inside
No
the
one
lead
panics.
vehicle.
They
Crew
react
helmets
with
glow
precision.
under dim screens.
That is why the convoy
No
is
one
still
rushes.
moving north now.
No
with
one
sea
panics.
lanes open
The
behind
commander
destroyer's
watches
bow.
a digital map.
That is why
The
the
driver
merchant
keeps
captains will
speeds
report a
down.
near attack.
The gunner scans
not a
through
disaster.
thermal sight.
That is
Behind
why
them,
the enemy boats
more
are
armor
running
follows
south
in staggered
instead of
lanes.
pressing in.
This is deliberate.
That is why the
For
sky
years,
over the water belongs
heavy
to
armor
the
was
US
called
again.
old war
This is
thinking.
not a story about a
Too
single
slow,
beam cutting
too
everything
costly,
down in one
too
easy
easy
to
to
track. It is
Too
more
easy
serious
to hit
than
from
that.
above.
The laser
Cheap
does
drones
not
change
change
battlefields.
It does not make
Guided
the old
missiles
weapons
change
disappear.
city fighting.
What it does
Small
is
teams
strip
with
away
smart
the cheap
weapons
advantage
change
that
roads,
mass attacks
bridges,
try to
and
create.
narrow streets.
It removes the
picture's
feeling that
sharp
a
and
ship
fast.
must bleed missiles.
Now the
just because
answer
the
is
enemy
moving
can
in front
build
of us.
drones and numbers.
The lead platform
Tonight,
is the latest Abrams
in this
line.
narrow lane between
M1
danger and
A2
commerce,
SCP-V4.
that ship
Thick
is enough to
armor
break an
still
entire
matters.
plan.
Weight
The
still
bridge
matters.
windows are bright
But what
now.
matters more now
CIC is
what's
still
inside
dim,
the hull,
still full of
new
screens
sensors,
and clip voices,
faster
The
processing,
destroyer settles back
cleaner
into
data,
escort rhythm,
better sight,
without ever
better
really
links.
leaving it.
The
Reports
tank
go
no
out.
longer fights
Watches
alone.
rotate where
It
they
fights
can.
as part of
The
the
helicopter remains
That changes
up
everything.
until the sector is
Farther
clean.
back,
The
another
fighters hold
silhouette waits
overhead
near
near service
service
longer,
bays under
just to make
blackout
sure no
covers.
one decides to
Lower
test the lane
profile.
again in the same
Cleaner
hour.
lines.
The convoy
Hybrid
presses
drive
north.
concepts.
Oil and
Reduced
cargo and
heat
money and
signature
time
ideas.
all keep moving.
New crew layout
because
thinking.
a warship kept
This is
control
the
when
Abrams
pressure was
X-Path.
real.
The
And
next
pressure
step
was
being
real.
tested for what comes
Dozens
after
of low
today's
tracks.
fleet.
It is
Split
not just a
formations.
stronger tank.
Silence
It is a
after
smarter
warnings.
one. Surface
Mechanics
boats
pull
shaping
covers
angles
clear.
under a drone
Panels
wall.
close.
A possible
Turret
missile
systems
stack
wait.
behind
behind them. Cooling fans
load
spin
building
up.
inside
A
a
low
new
electric
weapon
hum
that
enemy
mixes
thought
with
would
diesel
either
noise
fail
across the
or
yard.
fire too slowly
Crews
to
move
matter.
with routine
Every
speed.
part of the attack,
Hands on
had
steel.
sense behind it.
Eyes on
That is
screens.
what made the defense
No waste
impressive.
motion.
They did
Still
not
no
beat a
noise
foolish
in the
enemy.
outside world.
They beat a smart
But other
plan.
capitals are
The
watching.
final proof sits
Because
on the
when
water
American
in
armor
plain
moves
view.
like this without
Broken
parade
drones,
lights and cameras,
a smoking control
people
boat,
notice.
a damaged
Launcher
old model
running
of tank,
south.
war
A
was
convoy
simple.
is still in line.
More steel,
Missile
more
cells,
fuel,
still
more
mostly
shells.
full.
CIWS barely
Take
used.
losses.
The laser
going.
turret quiet
The
again.
new model is different.
Pointed over the bow.
Find
like it's been
first.
there forever.
See first.
That is the answer.
Decide first.
The enemy tried
Fire
to trap
first.
the destroyer.
Survive
into
the
fighting
return
the wrong
shot.
way.
Share
They
the
tried
picture
to flood the
instantly.
screen.
Move
Force
again.
waste.
That is a
Split
real
attention,
weapon.
and then strike
At first
through
light,
the seam.
the first firing
They did not
lane
get the
opens.
seam. Target
They
lost
sit
far
initiative
down
first.
range behind
Then they
smoke
lost
and broken
encounter.
terrain shapes.
By the time the
some
sun
are
comes
mock fully up
bunkers.
over the Red Sea.
Some are moving
The result
armored
is
silhouettes.
no longer in
Some
doubt.
are drone
The
towers
formation
built
stayed
to
intact.
test reaction time.
The escorts
The lead
never
Abrams
lost
halts
the picture.
for less than
The
3
sky
seconds.
and water
The gun
belong to the
settles.
U.S. again.
A 120
So here's the question.
millimeters.
Should the
advanced
U.S. have hit back
smoothbore
harder,
cannon
or
fires.
was control the real message?
Blast hits like a
Drop
wall.
your take.
Dust
Comments
kicks off the berm.